Hi and welcome to the Tristan channel, and today I'll be talking about Shuma-Gorath, or some will consider Marvel's version of Cthulhu. This will be in two parts. Shuma-Gorath was one of the great old ones, also named many-angled ones. At some point Shuma-Gorath created Quogoth as a servant. Early reign on Earth, ruler of hundreds of dimensions, Shuma-Gorath came to the Earth realm millions of years ago, along with the other old ones ruling the Earth and feasting on the ape men. Hundreds of millions ago, Quogoth rebelled, fancying himself more powerful than his creator, Shuma-Gorath. Defeated Quogoth, but couldn't destroy him, so imprisoned him in the island that became, for a time, Magneto's base in the modern age. Sometime around 1 million years ago BC, he was banished from the Earth realm by the time-travelling sorcerer Neg. This was also observed by another time-travelling sorcerer, Doctor Strange, who had hoped to defeat Shuma-Gorath in the past, so that his mentor, the Ancient One, would not need to die in a future conflict with the demon. During the pre-cataclysmic age, Shuma-Gorath somehow managed to return about 21,000 years before the sinking of Atlantis, and again set himself up as a god. The Old One fed himself on blood sacrifice and tribal war, but any priest or cultist who sought his favour was also killed. After an age of Shuma-Gorath's torturous rule, some sent out a cry for a new god, Crom. Crom sent a storm of the Northlands, and with it 3 bound books and a key to unlock them. Armed with the books, a shaman went to confront Shuma-Gorath. He read aloud from the books atop a mountain, and just before he finished the 3rd volume, a vengeful Shuma-Gorath incinerated the mortal with a blast of energy. A flame-headed cloud rose from the ashes, and, however, sealing Crom's spell and imprisoning Shuma-Gorath within the mountain. The mountain was later named Mount Crom in the avenging god's honour. The 3 books became known as the Ironbound Books of Shuma-Gorath. The Vishanti and Shuma-Gorath were eventually known to each other sometime after the formation of the Mystic Trinity, and became bitter foes to this day, neither succeeding in destroying the other. During the Hyberian Age, the sorcerer Kulangath and the witch queen of Hyberia, Vamata, fought with their 2 armies to a standstill. Negotiating, Vamata revealed that she had the ironbound books of Shuma-Gorath, while Kulangath had the key to open them. Vamata proposed an alliance sealed by marriage, which would allow them to work together to release Shuma-Gorath and command his power for their own means. At the base of Mount Crom, Vamata turned on Gath, and while they fought, Crom sent down a bolt of lightning that created an avalanche. The books were buried, and the newlywed sorcerers were separated, each believing the other to be dead for many years to come. A century later, Vamata came into conflict with the young warrior Conan of Chimeria. At one point, the sorceress set fire to the village of the Snow Bear, where Conan was raised, in order to clear a path to Mount Crom. Conan received a dream of its destruction, possibly a vision from his deity Crom, in which the name Shuma-Gorath was chanted repeatedly. With his travelling companion Hob, Conan headed north to confront the sorceress and her witchmen. Once he arrived at Mount Crom, however, Shuma-Gorath took control of Hob's mind and compelled him to read from the iron-bound books, freeing him from his mountain prison. By this time, the Vamata had been joined by Kulangath, and for a time the pair seemed to hold the demon with their spells. He was not under their control, however, and the pair were obliterated as Shuma-Gorath finished relating the tale of his imprisonment. Conan took up the books and used their power to resist the demon's attacks. Shuma-Gorath offered Conan immense power if he would stop, but Conan refused. Instead, Conan threw the books from the mountaintop to the storm above, returning them to Crom. Crom's power then once again sealed Shuma-Gorath in one of his home dimensions. In 1804, a cult that worshipped Shuma-Gorath was formed in the United States, in the land where the Ravencroft Institute would be built many years later. In modern times, Doctor Strange and his mentor, the Ancient One, came under a series of attacks by beings such as Nightmare, Silgorath, Erebora, Nagaboth, Dagoth, Katholos, and the Living Buddha. At one point, Strange detected a peculiar energy trail which he followed to a black hole that spoke with the voice of Shuma-Gorath and taunted him with the promise of the demon's return. Arriving at his master's side, Strange learned that Shuma-Gorath meant to return through the mind of the Ancient One. Strange fought a losing battle against the demon within the Ancient One's mind, one felt by the mystics across the world. Unable to stop the demon, Strange was forced to kill his mentor. Ow. At a later point, Strange was forced to destroy most of his talismans to prevent the alien sorcerer Fauna from using them. It was later revealed that Agamotto intervened, sequestering them away from even Strange himself. Doing so weakened dimensional barriers, enabling the old ones, Shuma-Gorath included, to once again establish a foothold in the Earth realm. Doctor Strange and Kalu battled his forces, with Strange being forced to embrace the use of black magic after becoming host to the wings of Needless Sorrow, made him too impure to use his white magic. After obtaining a reservoir of dark energy from his battle with Shuma-Gorath's agent, Gajash Nifra, forcibly absorbing Victoria Bentley's magic potentially and merging with the Chaos Lord Ariok, Strange confronted Shuma-Gorath in his own dimension, located 1,000 planes away from Earth. Strange's accumulation of power allowed him to match Shuma-Gorath's size and fight evenly with the demon while draining Shuma-Gorath's power progressively with the wings of Needless Sorrow. In Limbo, the battle appeared to Blasco and the visiting Fantastic Four as a vision of flame, which caused him to state that all the Netherrealms would collapse if he could not stop them. Shuma-Gorath told Strange that although he was draining his power, he was nothing except that power and would cause Strange to become him if he defeated him. He then created a replica of the Earth, which he used to ravage the real Earth by turning the sky into flame. Strange's attempts to protect the Earth replica only created a mystical backlash that pained Earth's other sorcerers, and Shuma-Gorath taunted the sorcerer supreme that he could not hope to win as both a protector and a destroyer. Strange chose to become a destroyer, and using the replica as a weapon, which caused a multitude of deaths and natural disasters on the real Earth, and ultimately merging with Shuma-Gorath as the demon had earlier predicted. Now partly under Strange's control, Shuma-Gorath impaled himself on one of his own tentacles. The demon was destroyed, though Strange's own ego was also destroyed in the process. Guided by Kalu, Strange's spirit travelled through many dimensions, burning off the taint of Shuma-Gorath and mending Strange's ego on the return to the Earth realm. In the process, Shuma-Gorath also slowly reformed, though still prevented from reaching Earth. Later, Shuma-Gorath was invoked by Nicholas Scratch, who tricked the Fantastic Four into reading a spell which allowed the demon to come to Earth. Scratch offered the Fantastic Four and Salem 7 as a sacrifice to Shuma-Gorath in its weak and hungry state, but Shuma-Gorath was interrupted by Doctor Strange. Strange teleported Shuma-Gorath to Stonehenge, where he banished the demon to a place beyond space and time. Shuma-Gorath was later summoned on Earth once again by a deformed shaman who had made a bargain with it in order to bring his deceased family back to life. The area in the Netherlands where Shuma-Gorath prepared to enter Earth 616 was filled with a mineral native to the region, and this mineral was filled with Shuma-Gorath's evil essence. In order to create a cure for a disease created by Arnim Zola that used the mineral of Shuma-Gorath's essence and turned the infected into bloodthirsty creatures, Namor the Invaders consulted his mage scientists who identified the evil aura belonging to Shuma-Gorath. Stating they are beyond inadequate to battle it, they decided to weaken its aura by assembling items symbolizing Shuma-Gorath's past defeats. The sacred sea flowers of the Sisineg, hair from the Ancient One's beard, and rock from the monoliths of Stonehenge. Once the infected were cured and Shuma-Gorath's aura weakened, the shaman changed his mind about summoning the Chaos Lord, but thanks to the interference of Arnim Zola that killed the shaman, the portal remained open and Shuma-Gorath began his crossing. Shuma-Gorath called out his name as he appeared, causing everyone in the vicinity to hold their head and collapse in pain. The evil god restrained Namor in one of its tentacles, and despite an assault from the Human Torch and Vision, Shuma-Gorath was unfazed by their attacks and only delayed from entering the reality by which the combined souls of the shaman and deceased villagers that tried to push him back. But before he was able to cross through his portal leading to Earth fully, Shuma-Gorath was stabbed in the eye with the Spear of Destiny by Vision and forced back into the rift, effectively banishing him once more. During Thanos' invasion of Manhattan, Doctor Strange was forced by Ebony Maw into summoning a small part of Shuma-Gorath to wreak havoc on the city. Guided by the Spider Hero, a group of Avengers managed to defeat Shuma-Gorath by disrupting his astral self to prevent it from performing his physical manifestation, which was then destroyed by Spectrum. When Doctor Strange resurrected Las Vegas and all of its inhabitants from the dead, a hole in the fabric of the dimensional magic was opened, and many demonic entities, including Shuma-Gorath, took notice of it. A ferocious war erupted between said entities in the Necro dimension, where the doorway was the most powerful, and Mephisto eventually emerged victorious. As he crossed over into the earthly plane, Mephisto trapped all of his rivals in their necrotic subrealm, with no way of returning home, and started to use the place to store the souls of the numerous Las Vegans he had imprisoned. A rather confused Shuma-Gorath was later confronted by Doctor Strange and other Avengers who had also been trapped there by Mephisto before being blinded by an attack of Dormammu. Once fully healed, Shuma-Gorath returned to fight the Avengers once again, this time accompanied by the other fallen lords of hell and their hordes. When one of the doors of the planet Terminal, which were fueled by the time storms that naturally occurred in their dimension, opened in his prison beyond time, Shuma-Gorath attempted to invade the dimension in order to gain access to all dimensions in existence. With no other choice, the Terminal's inhabitants closed the door and cut themselves off from the rest of the multiverse, thus thwarting the Old One's plans. Eventually, the Guardians of the Galaxy, named Groot, ended up in the Terminal and opened the door to return to his home dimension as had been prophesied, prompting Shuma-Gorath to attempt to claim the Terminal's powers once more. However, Shuma-Gorath's plans were foiled once again, this time by Groot, who used the power of the time storms in conjunction with the Sentinel projector to grow to gigantic sizes in order to punch Shuma-Gorath back to his prison and close the door. Now he has also entered many other realities, like Earth 9997, 9411, 1011, the Hive, and the Realm of Death. In part 2, I'll go over his powers and abilities and what it says about him in the Book of Vishanti. So I'll see you in part 2.